I'm Dennis Anderson along with Julie Zenner. Here's what's coming up on Almanac North.
While we all anxiously await spring, what about that other season, road construction? A record season is expected for projects. We'll tell you why.
What can be done, what can one book do to bring awareness to an entire community? We'll talk about the hopes of making that happen this month.
And arts experts from both sides of the bridge tell of a major effort to put the Twin Ports on the map and keep them coming here for the region's offerings.
So, all that and more, a real treat in this week's news file from 25 years ago, coming up next on Almanac North. Hello and welcome to Almanac North. Thanks for watching. I'm Dennis Anderson along with Julie Zenner. It has been a snowy month, Julie.
It has been, but the days are getting longer. The snow's starting to melt.
Things are changing.
We've made it.
Yep, so let's get warmed up with our first topic.
All right. Thank you, Dennis, and welcome everyone. As mentioned, it's rather cold out there for the start of spring, but before we know it, the snow will melt and then we'll start seeing road construction crews instead. This year, St. Louis County will see its biggest, most costly road construction season ever. And joining us to talk about it is County Commissioner Mike Forsman, Chair of the Public Works Committee, and County Administrator Kevin Gray. And welcome. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming in tonight.
Well, thank you for having us.
Commissioner, one of the first things I suppose that comes to mind is roadblocks and delays when you hear news like that. What can people expect?
People can expect, as you said in your opening, probably the biggest road construction projects that St. Louis County has ever done. In the Duluth area, the Haynes Road project is going to be a huge project, about $11 million project. That coupled with about $46 million worth of additional projects throughout the county. Many of the projects, for those that aren't aware, we have had a great relationship with the federal government and the state government on this flood relief dollars, and they have really augmented. And Kevin will go into some of the numbers. He's got them right at his hands there. But those dollars, those flood relief dollars, in addition to our already large program, this will be the largest. So you will have, Julie, you will have, Dennis, you will have a lot of construction. But people bear with it. You are also going to have some of the finest roads that this county has had next year. So
Kevin, is there any way the public can plug into St. Louis County to find out, maybe electronically, where these road construction projects and how they stand at any given time?
Absolutely. If you go to our website at stlouiscounty.gov.us.mn, you'll find all the projects. But we're really excited about, along the roadblock and construction season theme, of having a construction viewer. So we also have project updates where we'll be texting and or sending messages to mobile phones and keeping people aware of the project and its status and what's coming up, what detours, if any, to expect, or traffic management conditions.
Certainly a portion of Haynes Road really took a big hit with the flood last June. So road construction now is starting on that section just above 40th Avenue West. How long will that take?
we are we looking at the 2014 for completion on that project, but following that project, we're going to be doing Highland right after that because we're using that as a detour right now. That project cannot be done simply just because of the way that all of the bridges that are on it, all running up against the side of a hill, the rock excavations, all of those things. It cannot be done simply, but it will. There will be signed detours, and I think Kevin said it very well when he said that we'll have project updates on our website every day, and people will know where to go. Highland's going to take a beating, but following this project on Haynes Road, Highland is going to get an upgrade, and there will be. It should be, when everything is said and done, we are going to have a very nice routes within the Duluth area and within St. Louis County. So.
Overall, how much damage still remains from the flood, and how much more money is needed?
We started off with 98 road closures. Depends on who you ask. 98 or 96 road closures. We are down to 2 road closures right now. Part of that. Those are bridge. I'm going to ask Kevin because Kevin just got the update from our from our engineer Jim Foldesy.
We've got a couple of roads that are still waiting to be opened, including obviously Haynes Road.
Yeah.
We're excited about that. In fact, we hope that the completion of that project will be by late this fall. So while it may spill over some extra work into 14, we hope to have the road open by the end of this fall, by November. As for other projects, we've got easily $10 million of bridges. A majority of those are still carryovers from the flood impacts and damages. So, and a lot of shoulder work still.
So is this a period of time we're moving into where the county is trying to be more proactive in good road maintenance rather than maybe reconstruction of roads?
One of the things that Director Foldesy will tell you is that they, and thanks to Kevin and good administration, is they've done a lot of work with computer models now. I mean, technology has caught up with road building. We can tell you the road conditions. We can tell you what the worst roads are. Sometimes as a commissioner, I'll get a complaint on, oh, this is the worst road in the county. You can literally look through the thing and find out, yeah, their road might be bad, but there's a worse road nearby that needs construction first or reconstruction first. So the bottom line is that I think that we are doing some really judicious and calculated moves on taking and rebuilding the infrastructure. And when you have 3,000 miles of road, 601 bridges in this county, it's a huge road system, and it needs it needs some really technical and advice that we get through our computer system and input from the public. So,
And in terms of communication, people with their smartphones can pretty much get any information that they want, right?
Yes.
Just call it up, but pull over to the side of the road before you do that, I imagine.
You should.
Well, we have you here. The governor has been going around the state talking about his budget. What is the county's perspective as you look at what's happening in St. Paul and how things are starting to shake out?
Well, I think we've been down spending a lot of time, commissioners and some of our leadership team, talking about policy issues and bonding and financial impacts. We're optimistic that it's going to get to a successful close, but we have 3 competing packages right now, the governor's, Senate, and House versions. So it's still very much up in the air as to the impacts to counties and others, particularly us as taxpayers, all of us, to see how this is going to shake out.
You're hoping to do about 45, a little over 45 miles of roads this summer. Are all the monies committed for those projects, or are you still awaiting some dollars?
We're substantially set. The 45 miles of roads and 24 bridges, and another $4 million investing in culverts and infrastructure under the roads, kind of the non-glamorous stuff that is so important to all of us, so especially when we see the washout conditions that we've had in the past. But yes, we're fully funded. In fact, of the $56 million that we're investing this year, we're leveraging almost $50 million of that from state, federal, and other sources. So we're getting a great bang for our taxpayer buck.
Putting a lot of people to work.
All right. Thank you so much for coming in and sharing the information, and good luck as we head into road construction season.
Well, thank you.
Check
that construction viewer.
Now, let's dig into our news file archive for a look at what was making news 25 years ago this week.
Come on, Tim, you can do it. Get those arms up. Move, Tim. Kick. Let's go, Tim.
Tim is not a real victim, but even though his is only a mock rescue, it is conducted with all the intensity of a real emergency.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Both victims and rescuers are firefighting instructors at Minnesota vocational schools in Duluth to learn the principles of ice rescue. Duluth Vocational received a grant from the Minnesota Department of Education to organize and host the training. In a nutshell, the 3 basics being taught are reach, throw, and go.
You try to talk the person out. If that doesn't work, you try to reach them with an extension of yourself, a long pole, a ladder, something like this. If that doesn't work, you might try for a rope, a life preserver or something, and the last resort then is to actually go out and get the person.
Bring them in slow. The ambulance is here. Okay.
There's always the chance that if you fall through the ice, no one will be around to help you. But if you keep a cool head and use a little common sense, oftentimes you can help yourself. With photographer Steve Strong, Julie Zenner, KDLH News.
I trust you remember that?
I do remember that like it was yesterday.
I hope you've dried off.
Great fun.
All right, thank you. Well, it's become an annual event and a way to encourage people to read. But this year, the One Book, One Community program expects their selection to spur interest in everything from architecture and stained glass to history and women in the workforce. Now, here to share more of what is in store is the director of the Duluth Public Library, Carla Powers. Thanks for being here, Carla. So, the purpose of One Book, One Community, what's it all about?
It's like a community-wide book group. The idea is to bring people together by encouraging everybody to read the same book at the same time and then talk about it with their friends and neighbors.
And this year's book is Clara and Mr. Tiffany,
Right.
or the adult book.
Right.
Because you have a children's book as well.
Right.
Yeah.
We call it one book, but actually you get a bonus. We have two books. We have an alternate selection for younger readers, and the companion title is Chasing Vermeer by Blue Valiant. The adult selection is Clara and Mr. Tiffany by Susan Vreeland, and it's about Clara Driscoll, who, this is a fiction book, but it's based on a real person who lived in New York City at the late 1800s, the turn of the 20th century,
Sure.
and she designed glass for Louis Comfort Tiffany.
Mm-hmm. And so there's kind of a connection with Duluth because Duluth has Tiffany glass.
Right, that's been a big part of
Yeah.
our local tie-in, is
Right.
the Tiffany glass in the city of Duluth. And so we do have a program that's designed around that. It's a tour of local stained glass, but unfortunately, if you don't have your ticket yet, it has sold out already.
Carla, can you give us some sense of the largeness of this? There must be a lot of people who take part in this program now coming.
Yes, we've got programs not only in Duluth, but also at the Cloquet Library, at the Virginia Library. The WITC Library in Superior is doing a program, and a lot of local book groups do it, so we don't even know about all of them. And then usually the culmination, if we're fortunate enough to have the author visit us, that's kind of one of the big highlights, is to bring everybody together and hear the author.
Sure. So are these books sold at the library, or do you check them out? What happens here?
We check them out at the library. There is a hold list on them, so if you don't have your name on the list, you'll have to be patient, or they are available for sale. One of our partners in this is the bookstore at Fitger's, so I'm sure there are copies available there.
Going back to that local connection, former Duluthian Ann Weston was featured on the PBS History Detectives. She also was a woman who designed Tiffany windows. It sounds like at about the same time as Clara. Do you know if they were contemporaries? Because it's based on a real person.
It's based on a real person, and I'm not sure if there was a connection between them or not. Historians think that Clara Driscoll was the one who came up with the idea of putting stained glass on lampshades, and she never got credit for it, as many of the designers of Tiffany's windows and glass products didn't. But we think that that's where that idea came from.
What about women's work conditions? Because that's a theme in this book as well.
It certainly is. One of the things that comes out early on in the book is that Louis Comfort Tiffany hired quite a few women, but only if they were unmarried. If a woman got married, she was no longer welcome to be employed by him. There is a labor action in this book, and Clara Driscoll actually leads a labor action of the so-called Tiffany Girls.
Now this is a program that you've done for a number of years. How do you choose what the book is that you're going to focus on in the community? Because there are so many books out there. Are there certain criteria that you use? Is there a committee? Talk about that.
There is a committee, excuse me, there is a committee, and it's a really tough choice. Usually what we do is get together, put out a few ideas, and all do some reading, and then try to narrow it down to a book that has a lot of themes, something that is interesting to read, that there are maybe some local tie-ins or local themes that can be explored, and something worth discussing with a little bit of meat to it. And we try to make it a variety.
Carla, can you measure the creation of reading groups and discussion groups on books that have come through this program?
We've never kept track of that. That's an interesting question. We do know that a lot of local book groups do put this into their plan as
their agenda.
Exactly, because we get a lot of calls from local book groups, so we try to get the word out early on what the next year's book is going to be. But we've never asked for book groups to tell us whether or not they're reading.
But you know they're out there.
We know they're out there, and we do keep track of just the people coming into our programs, and it's substantial. This generates a lot of interest.
What's the benefit of having that shared experience?
I think it brings people closer together. You get a chance to maybe learn something about a friend or neighbor that you didn't know before. Something comes out as you're discussing the book, or just, I don't know, the social part of being together and talking about something you have in common is just a great thing for the community.
And events that are coming up?
We have a lot of events coming up. The details are available on the library website. Some of the highlights, actually tomorrow we're having a stained glass appraisal event at the Duluth Public Library, so a little mini Antiques Roadshow kind of thing at the library. We have some events coming up for kids. Little kids, we're partnering with the Duluth Art Institute for them to make stained glass looking candle jars. Teens are going to be working with a local painter to paint the windows of the main library to look like stained glass. That'll be kind of fun. Lake Superior Art Glass owner Dan Neff is going to be doing a program on Monday evening at his studio and at his shop in downtown Duluth. And I believe there are still openings for that, but it's limited. So call the library if you want to go to that on Monday.
Carla, thank you so very much. Who doesn't love the library? Thank you.
Thank you.
If you're from the Twin Ports or have moved here recently, you know it's an arts mecca. But a new project unveiled this week called North by North wants to spread the word even farther. And at a news conference this week, they talked about why.
We're really trying to do from City Hall perspective, and I know Superior is working on this, and their City Councilor's been very supportive, and particularly you in the room have been so supportive of this idea of really kind of rebranding Duluth. Of course, this is part of the 90 by 20 initiative, trying to get increasing population here in Duluth. And what we're trying to do is exactly what you guys are laying out today, which is letting people know we have all this new, exciting, hip stuff happening in Duluth, attracting people not only to come and listen to music, but also to be here, to live here, to stay here, to encourage other people to come and to visit and to eventually move here.
The announcement of North by North was made by several entities gathered at the Zeitgeist Theater. We have some arts experts here to talk more about the project and how and why it came about. Erica Mock is a textiles artist from Superior, and Bill Payne is the School of Fine Arts Dean from the University of Minnesota Duluth. And welcome. Thanks for coming in tonight.
Thank you. Well, thanks for having us.
Bill, let's start with you. How did this idea of a month with an arts focus really come together?
About a little more than a year ago, we started to gather as artists and arts organizations in something called Twin Ports Arts Align. And we had monthly conversations about how we could create a more cohesive artist community. And one of the ideas that came out was this May is Arts Month. That wasn't a very good title. So we kept talking about it, and then this spring we decided to make it happen. We could have almost picked any month. But around May, we have the Homegrown Music Festival, the Gallery Progressive, the Dillon Days, and the Duluth Superior Film Festival. And in between that, we put a week that's sort of dedicated to dance and classical music and theater and opera. And so we just thought, here's a long period of time where we've always got something going on. We should tell people about it.
And North by North is a bit of a play off of a similar event down in Texas, I understand, South by Southwest. Is that something that you're trying to build off of their success?
For those people who know about South by Southwest, that's kind of shorthand. For those that don't, we think it fits us. You know, go north, and then when you get north, go a little farther north, and you're in Duluth.
Erica, you're a textiles artist. What do you build? What do you make?
I make wearable garments and accessories to sell. And I also am the director of Phantom Gallery Superior, so that is how I actually am involved very directly with Arts Align and Spaces, which is a Superior group, Superior Public Art, creating community environments.
So it's not just the city of Duluth, it's kind of the region.
More or less, yeah. It's taken a long time to get this idea that it's just a bridge, get over it.
Sure.
And, and so we're happy to support that. And really, there's so much great art happening in Superior. There's artists all around this region. It just makes sense that we cohese as a community, and borders don't mean that much to us.
Erica, as you think about the North by North month, what do you envision as far as what people will experience?
I think they're going to experience more than they've ever thought existed in the area that is the Twin Ports. It'll start with music, with the Homegrown Music Festival, and then there will be a visual arts week where every night there will be something going on, and then it'll just continue throughout the month. I would hope that people would come to try something maybe new, and maybe follow someone that they already know and go out and experience that.
Do you see the communities really, both Duluth and Superior, really investing in the arts at this point in time?
Oh, in a big way. The Chamber of Commerce, the city administrations, very supportive and very much believe that the development of the arts community is economic development and community development. I think we as artists understand that we are businesses, and we generate business, and we generate activity that leads to other business.
We hear of so many other communities that have become kind of arts communities. Portland, Oregon, for one. Fargo, North Dakota, closer to home here. Have Duluth, Superior, and this region now become a real arts community?
We've been one for a long time, Jenny. When I got here in '93, I looked at this town of 85,000 and said, you have a ballet and a symphony orchestra and all these galleries. But in the last 10 or 15 years, it's grown.
Really grown, though,
it's grown.
Yeah.
And so there's a vibrancy here in all the arts that is really exciting right now.
To what do you attribute that? Expansion in colleges?
Well, you want to give that one a go?
Sure, please.
I think that it could be expansion of colleges. I also think that there has been sort of a movement. People are staying here now. The young people are staying, and others are moving back to the area that maybe have been from here. The environment is very, very conducive to artists working in this area. There's solitude. There are things to do. There's an art scene. There's a culture scene.
It's a beautiful place to live. It's an affordable place to live, and there's an audience here. We're seeing that some of our students in the School of Fine Arts, we educate artists who want to be professionals, and more of them are choosing to stay here. But that's true of millennials. This generation, they're not chasing jobs. They're figuring out where they want to live, and then they're making work where they stay. And they come here to go to school, and they go, I really like living here.
I want to stay here.
There's a good scene. I'm going to stay here, so I'm going to make some work. And we've seen that over the last 10 years. It's really exciting because it has upped the quality and the quantity of art offerings in Duluth and Superior.
So if people want to find out more about North by North and the events, where do they go? How do they get more information? I know it's on Facebook.
Facebook page. Yeah, the Facebook page, and I think you're going to have to correct me if I'm wrong, it's www.facebook.com/NorthXNorthEXP. So
They'll make it.
you get there.
People who are savvy on Facebook
Yeah.
will find
They'll
it.
find
They
it.
know how to do it.
We don't have a website. You know, this is our first year of doing North by North.
Yeah.
And so we're just getting started. We just figure we'll do what we can this
There you
year.
go.
Hopefully it'll grow.
All the best.
All right, Bill, Erica, thank you so much and good luck with it.
Thank
a
you.
lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Time now for the week's economic news from the folks at Business North. An unexpected issue has resulted from the Minnesota Executive Council's decision to grant Magnetation a 25-year minerals lease near Coleraine. If the company develops an open-pit mine, some residents and local officials fear they will lose recreational opportunities. They have expressed concern about losing the Mesabi Bike Trail, Keystone Snowmobile Trail, Itasca Gun Club, Nordic Ski Trails, and public water access. The environmental review process could include mitigation of trails or other facilities. Most likely to be relocated is the local gun club, which is on a taconite tailings basin.
Governor Mark Dayton's revised budget proposal got mixed reviews Wednesday from a packed room of stakeholders in Duluth. As expected, the DFL governor's plan, which includes spending increases, was praised by those who receive public funds. Despite changes that deleted business-to-business sales taxes, however, it received a cool reception from the business community. Dayton held his ground on some points, including his plan to raise taxes on the top 2% of income earners, but he agreed with business owners who argued regulation should be re-examined and streamlined when possible.
2 Wisconsin groups received the Governor's Tourism Awards Tuesday. The Arts, Culture, and Heritage Award went to Lake Superior Big Top Chautauqua, the only all-canvas, continually operating performing arts venue in the country. Big Top turns 27 years old this year and has presented more than 1,600 performances and entertained more than 500,000 people. The Service Excellence Awards was presented to Greg Vreeland for the Mobile Travel Information Center. He and other area tourism leaders custom designed and built the center in a semi-trailer and attend regional trade and sports shows. For more on these and other stories, visit businessnorth.com.
And if you have a comment on this week's show, give us a call. Dial 218-788-2849 to leave a message or send an email to almanacnorth@wdse.org. And remember, check out the WDSE website for the latest program information and to watch archived video of your favorite public television programming. And Denny, it's really good to be back after a few weeks away.
And we hope that when we were gone, a lot of people pledged.
I understand that they did. Thank you to everyone who called during that time.
All right, Julie, thanks. We leave you tonight with another sign of the changing season, the first ship heading out of the port. The Mesaba Miner made its way across the lake earlier this week. From all of us here at Almanac North, good night, everybody, and be kind.
Funding for Almanac North Arts Extra is provided by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota.